Thank you, Hashem, to be our guest today. We are with Sheriff Mamas, CEO of CREATANT, and myself, Cyril, CEO of CREATANT. So today we got special discussion regarding AI and creativity with Hashem, with also very famous content creator and scientist working, doing amazing AI videos and content. Thank you, Hashem, to have you.
Thank you so much, Cyril. And hi, Sheriff. It's good to be here.
And so we got many questions to ask you regarding the evolution of AI and our creativity. So we could start with maybe first question. How did you start integrating artificial intelligence into your content creation process?
So, ever since ChatGPT came into existence, I have realized its potential. But before ChatGPT, actually, two of my friends and I were in the process of building an AI company. And we started working on it. The concept was amazing, but the execution took time. That ChatGPT came first, and it was offering everything that we wanted to offer, for free. So we decided that, okay, well, I would rather just continue with ChatGPT and we don't have to continue. Instead of me building it, I would rather use the tools that are being created. And then I started integrating it into every single step of my workflow, and it has made life much, much easier. It's not just ChatGPT. I'm integrating a lot of AI tools into various steps of the content creation at the moment.
Okay, so now you saw the potential in everything. So my other question will be, in your opinion, does AI limit human creativity, or on the contrary, open up new horizons?
I think it enhances human creativity. Think about it as a tool that augments our creativity. When you're reading a book which offers information that is readily available in the book itself, does that mean that the information that the book is offering is useless? Or does it mean it enhances your knowledge? It enhances your knowledge, right? In the same manner, ChatGPT is a tool that you can use it to augment your creativity, to enhance it and give you new perspectives that you might not think about yourself. It also simplifies the process, makes it easier to create something so that you can have more time to brainstorm, to create interesting things, rather than spending the entire time in the process. You spend most of the time in the thinking part. And that's why I think it definitely enhances the process. The other thing is, it's not just in writing, it's also in creating images or videos. There are things that you have in your imagination that you could not create in the past, but now you can. You're only limited by your imagination and creativity if you use these tools properly.
And Sheriff, what could be your opinion about Hashem?
So I also agree on this. For example, sometimes we might be also stuck with an idea. Basically, when we then start interacting with an AI, it's like a creative co-pilot. It will help you going to the next step, and not necessarily, and maybe you are lucky, it might give you the complete output you're actually expecting, but most of the time it will be more like you are in control. You are the one who's guiding basically AI, and when you're stuck, you continue asking questions, you get the information you need, and it is, of course, helping with the productivity. You can move on much faster and producing faster, and having also some details where maybe lack of time you are not able to do. So therefore, with AI, you can have even more depth in your work.
I love that answer. I completely agree.
Then there will be an interesting question also from one of customer. In your opinion, have you ever been afraid that AI would replace your work, or that other content creators too?
That AI is going to replace my work?
Yes, replace the work of content creators.
Look, content creators who are not embracing it will be replaced. As people always put it, it's not going to be AI against people. It's going to be people who use AI against people who don't. And if you have embraced it to, improve your workflow, streamline the process, make it easier for yourself, enhance your creativity, you're going to be fine. Now, nonetheless, we can safely say that in the distant future, when AI takes over everything, the content that stands out will be the content that integrates AI to provide visually appealing materials. Content that is fully human will be on high demand for sure. Yeah. But when people see that AI is actually enhancing the content creation and it's making things look much more engaging, I think everybody's going to have to switch because they will find it more appealing. So I'm not really worried about it replacing me. In fact, I am excited about using it to enhance my...
Sheriff, do you have something to add?
So I see, Hashem, you're doing also a lot of scientific videos and documentaries, which is like made most the traditional way. And I can see how much work and details there are. And I can also see the passion when you creating this kind of videos. So I recently came up and saw a discussion where some people were talking about low quality science YouTube videos. They just want to get attention and even the content is actually useless. So for example, in historical context, let's assume you have a video which maybe is about the ancient Egypt. You can actually see that AI is not able to accurately produce, let's say, materials, what kind of dresses they have, or what kind of and
it's not historically accurate. Historical accuracy is not there.
So there are of course limitations how you can use AI, because when you just generate the images.
I mean, I disagree there, because you can tweak the prompt to get that historical accuracy. You can tweak the prompt to get the historical accuracy, but you need to have the knowledge for it. And instead of just asking, for example, ChatGPT to tweak the prompt for you, you could feed ChatGPT sources of information that are describing what they looked like back then and say, make the prompt concise to this description here. And you get more historically accurate. And then, if the tool follows the prompt, you're fine, definitely.
I can see you're very advanced already in the topic. So this is obviously the process you are following. So you use basically ChatGPT and then going into the details to make it very accurate before you're creating something.
Absolutely. Don't give you the description on its own without feeding it a source of information that is reliable, so that it limits the information in the prompt to what you fed it, which comes from a reliable source, rather than it getting the freedom to do whatever it wants and gives you completely inaccurate information. There are some TV channels, for example, the BBC. They're often publishing content that debunks these AI videos. For example, have you seen that trend of POV? Somebody wakes up building the pyramid, another person wakes up doing this, and you see their hands and they are walking, and you saw this. And so the BBC published a series where they debunk these videos, asking historians, do these actually look real? Well, certainly they don't, because the people who made them are looking for virality. They want something viral. They don't want to care whether the details are accurate or not. So that does give some viewers the impression that this is what life looked like. But there are also smart people who can debunk that in the comments section. And I've seen people, hey, wait, he's wearing a watch in the, during the ancient Egyptians, he's wearing a Rolex. Come on, guys. So people can spot these inaccuracies, even some smaller ones, actually. And they can point that out in the comments. So, and as this gets more realistic, that's when things become difficult to spot.
And also, what concrete benefits has AI brought your way of producing?
Well, first of all, it improved the efficiency. Rather than taking forever to make a piece of content, it's much faster now, whether it's in the writing part or the voiceover or the video generation for certain segments of the video. That's for the regular day-to-day content, because I publish two types of content. One is day-to-day content, which focuses on science and technology, and then what I call top quality content, where I spend more time on each piece, like the short AI assisted films that you see, like the monolith, the sentence, the prompt theory, and all of these ones. These ones take more time, but the quality is enhanced. These are things that I wasn't able to do just a year ago, but now technology has made it possible, and the quality is amazing. The fact that we can generate a video with an audio and sound effects right away, it's making the production quality enhanced and the production value improved, and I'm seeing great engagement in this type of content.
Which AI tools do you use most often in your workflow?
Well, I use a lot of AI tools, actually. For brainstorming, I mostly use ChatGPT, occasionally Gemini. For writing, I use ChatGPT as well. If I have an idea and I need writing assistance, I use ChatGPT. For image generation, I use a lot of tools. I use Midjourney, Sora, which also has the image generator. Sora is not just a video generator. Dremina, Flux, and which one? So these are the main ones that I actually use for image generation. For video generation, I use a lot. I use Kling AI, VO3 a lot now. Yeah, of course. I can't wait for VO4 though. So VO3, Kling AI, Runway, I honestly don't use much. Now getting into Higgsfield, which is amazing. Heigen, I tried it. I loved it. Heigen for avatars. Which other? Now I'm going to try the new AI video model by Dremina. Yeah, so they released a new AI model for video creation, which looks really amazing. I can't wait to try it. Then for voiceover, I use 11 Labs. Or voices in the films where I need a conversation or anything, I use 11 Labs. For music, I use Sono AI. For upscaling, I use Topaz AI. Video upscaling. For image upscaling, sometimes I use Magnific AI, but I also have my own upscaler, which I run locally on my computer. It's a Flux model. For sound effects, I use Audio to convert a video into sound effects based on a prompt. And yeah, besides all other AI tools that are offered inside Adobe Premiere Pro, like subtitles, audio enhancement, and other things that are good for final touching of the video.
Okay, there I have a question actually. So for example, if you create this 10 to 15 minutes videos, how long does the process take for you from ideation, creating scenes until...
I did a short film called The Colorless Man. Did you watch it? The Colorless Man took 2 weeks, and it was done 2 weeks, actually, before VO3 came out. And then when VO3 came out, it now takes much faster, because a lot of things that I was doing at the time do not have to be done through separate tools. It's all in one place. For example, The Sentence, which is a new short film that I published, it's around 10 minutes long. It is, that took 3 days from start to finish. So yeah, the process is becoming faster because all the tools are now becoming available in a single location. So you don't have to juggle between tools here and there. And I'm just loving it. And if this is what it looks like here now, imagine what it's going to be in a year.
Yeah, I saw this video, Colorless Man. Do you think you can recreate this also in AI? So you said 2 weeks, but actually it's amazing for 2 weeks.
It is amazing for 2 weeks, and for a production cost of $600 compared to hundreds of thousands if you actually produce it with real production cast and crew and all of that. But why would I recreate it? I think it's a very interesting piece of history that shows what AI looked like at a certain point in time. People are going to look back at it and say, you know what, this is what it looked like. What they connected to most in that short film is the story. If you have a good story, people will look past technical issues, like if the lip sync is not as great as VO3, for example. And besides, I have a lot of ideas. Rather than spending my time going back to recreating old ones, I need to give space for the new ones using new tools. So yeah, I'm really excited about the upcoming ideas.
And Sheref, what about CREATANT? Which kind of maybe software do you think could be the most useful for the platform?
So we right now integrated also Google VO3, text to video and image to video. What we also integrated is Minimax 2, which is quite impressive. And then also, CREATANT, we integrated also this one, the Pro version, which
it's amazing. Although I want to see if there's a possibility of generating audio. I heard it doesn't generate audio yet, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. They're working on it. So there might be soon something also from Minimax, because if you check Minimax, they do some very interesting things. For example, they have also a language model, and they are also working on audio models. So I think it's one more step they might have also something in place that is like Google Viewer Free, and having a full package where you just prompt and you write also the texts, and then it will create basically the audio on top of it.
That's amazing. Also, Hexfield, I think they have a new announcement today, from what I heard. So I'm curious to see what the new announcement is. But recently, they also released Hexfield Speaks, an AI model for lip sync. And, I haven't done much with Hexfield, but I am really excited to jump into that one because they have these presets and camera motions that already, are there and you can use them. And the motion and the physics are great. So, but I'm curious to see what the new announcement today is. They say it's a big announcement. I wonder what it is.
Do you feel like when you have, for example, a very specific project that you need to make a decision on which video model you need to bet? Because sometimes they also look like different, like visually and aesthetics. Or do you think you can mix it together? Or are you mixing together different video models?
Always mixing together. I'm trying to get the best of each model. Otherwise, if I just use one, it's gonna look outdated. Yeah, some models are better than others at certain things. So I'm trying to integrate the best feature of each AI model to try to approach the real Hollywood production look, which is my final goal. Not just a real Hollywood production look, but character consistency that does not take you out of the story, that you feel like you are watching one piece that is coherent and connected to each other, connected strongly, and also a feature film with the final goal. Imagine if you can create 1 hour and a half.
Question, for example, with Google Viewer Free, are you able to create character consistency?
No, honestly, not yet. They have this scene builder inside Flow, which does achieve a little bit of character consistency, but not there yet %. So in my opinion, the best way to achieve character consistency is to actually generate the images first, rather than relying on text to video, even if you're using Flow. And now there is this new model, which is Flux Context with K, which, you can upload an image and change the camera angle. It will give you a camera angle that you want, and then you can animate from different angles and put them together to get the scene that you want. Now, what would really help with Flow and VO3 is if they added lip sync. Like if I can upload an image that I generated with Flux Context, and they will add the dialogue that I want with the voice that I want, that would be amazing. Because most lip syncing models do not have the real emotions that VO3 offers. Right now, if you upload an image, it's not gonna do a sentence like, "Hey, make this character say this and that." It's not gonna do it from an image. You'll have to generate it from text, and they will generate the model and everything, and the person who's talking and all of that. While it's useful if you are creating a mockumentary or documentary style content, like the ones I do right now, it might not be useful for narrative style content, like The Colorless Man, which is a narrative style. Yeah, it's a narrative style, but the character consistency is great in that one. Yeah, although the emotions could be handled better with new models, definitely.
Yeah, and also that's interesting topic you're talking about. Do you have any tips for getting the most out of AI tools without losing your style or authenticity?
Well, the bigger percentage of your content must be still human. Like 60% human, 40% AI, that's fine. And that 60% is actually the core idea and the story. Yeah? I think we have already overcome a lot of technical issues regarding generating images and videos. So that's not an issue anymore for a lot of things, day-to-day uses. But you still need that human touch for certain steps in the process. Whether you have to edit an image before animating it in Kling AI, whether having to upscale it after you have generated the video from that image, whether having to tweak the editing in a manner that makes it sound like it was made by a human. Yeah, you don't want to just rely on the output that the AI gives you. You need to still do some work yourself. And this helps you make your content more human-like, but at the same time, it stays consistent to your style.
But what are your thoughts about it, Sheriff?
So, you know, when you mention your process and, you know, what kind of tools you're using, actually a lot of people underestimate how much work it is. They really think you just plug in and you just create something. It's actually not like that. It's really like a lot of experimenting, understanding how the different video models work, maybe going for documentation, also understanding how to prompt it like correctly. Maybe you can also use like AI for prompting, but actually all the small steps, gaining the experience until you have something that is actually useful takes quite a time until you get basically.
Oh, definitely. I completely agree with you. And so when I see a comment where someone writes, "You did not create anything, AI did." Wait, like I didn't think, I didn't come up with the process. I wasn't the one who tweaked the prompts and made sure that they are designed in a way that I get the desired result that I want. It didn't magically make itself. Yeah. So they underestimate how much goes into the process, and I completely agree with you on that.
So basically, I was comparing it a little bit like a film director, and you have, of course, professional equipment. You have, for example, a professional camera, but you have envisioned already how the scene should look like, how the camera movement should be, and how you want to have the specific shootings in the scene. And it's not like the camera is doing the whole work. I would be basically the camera capturing something, but at the end, you are the one, like a film director, having the script, having also the idea how it should be shot in which style, and yeah, basically controlling the whole environment. So this is the power what AI actually gives us. So you don't need to have this very expensive equipment. You can basically just together with your creativity and with your organization, and you can just, if you use the tools correctly, you can create something that looks at the end very, very polished and professional. And of course, it's your work. There's a lot of work behind it.
It is, actually. It is your work, and it is your style. If you stick to that style, it would be like what? Wes Anderson. When I see a Wes Anderson style, I know that that's from Wes Anderson. The colors, the framing of the shot and all of that, you too can create your own consistent style. And I have seen a lot of people who actually did manage to achieve that, creating their own style, and I'm working towards that. I actually received an email today from somebody who told me that there are some YouTube channels that are taking your videos and they are not giving you credit.
Oh.
And then I checked the videos. It turned out that they are not taking the videos themselves, but they are trying to replicate my style. And then he wrote in that email that, your style is unique and I can easily spot it wherever it is. So when I saw these videos, I thought they were from you, but I thought the stories were off because your concepts are often high end. So I was like, well, it's a flattery that people are trying to copy my style, but in the end, follow my channels to see whether I'm the one who actually made that or not. Get them from the source. Yeah.
Okay, have you ever had experiences where AI produced disappointing or unsuitable results for your content that you already struggled?
Absolutely. You see, when I was doing The Colorless Man, it wasn't straight out of the box from the first output. There was a lot of Photoshop that needed to be done. For example, sometimes, and this is very often a problem with Sora, which I used for character consistency, is that the scale of the head to body ratio is not accurate sometimes. For two bodies standing next to each other, it doesn't give you accurate height proportions. That's one of the things. Or videos that struggled with physics. It happens from time to time. With, before, honestly, at the beginning of the process, AI models were extremely difficult to deal with. You would need to generate over and over again to get the desired result. But from what I have noticed recently, this has improved. And these days, it's fewer generations to get the desired result. Eventually, I would probably say that in the near future, it's going to be the desired generation from the first generation, because the AI models are getting better and the prompt adherence is continuing to improve. And that's what I love.
And what about you, Sheref? What do you think what CREATANT is solving, or your opinion about that?
For me, the speed, how things getting improved for me is just incredible. I cannot believe it. One of the reasons why I was also so busy last week is, one new model after another came around the corner. And before I integrate something, I need to test it first. Because sometimes, they throw the model out and there are technical problems and flaws. But I can still see some of the models, they came a little bit too early, I think not so mature, as you have mentioned right now.
You mean like the launch is premature before they actually cooked it properly?
Yes, exactly. For example, also with, I don't want to mention right now because, they have all this problem. They need to push something and bring quickly to the market. But it's a little bit frustrating in the beginning because a lot of things are not working. You create like 10 videos and only 2 are usable. Or you see sometimes subtitles are popping up and then you prompt, I don't want to have subtitles, but it's still there.
Yeah, with VO.
Yeah, and audio.
You can reduce the subtitles, by the way, if you do not use the double quotation mark and replace it with a single quotation mark, you reduce the chances of seeing the subtitle.
This exactly this kind of fine tuning we have to do. Of course, I think with some more iterations, we will come to a point where I could not expect last year that we come to this point so fast actually. So if you remember what kind of videos we had like mid last year, and if you compare what we have this year, this is just an incredible speed for me.
Absolutely. And think about what it will be from a year from now.
Yes.
Yeah. It's incredible. No, honestly, I am really excited, especially about VO and where it's heading. VO particularly has been a game changer, but who knows? VO and Kling AI are at the top at the moment, but I'm always on the lookout for the best of the best wherever I find it, regardless. The thing about AI, honestly, which is very difficult, is to be a loyal person to a single model. You can't.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it won't be for the best because you really want the best feature of every model. So you need to keep an open mind to everything.
And also, so regarding what we said, what do you think could be the evolution of content creation in 5 to 10 years? Maybe we don't know in next year, but maybe in 5 years.
Well, it's going to be a brain implant, and it's going to generate everything right into our head. That's it. I would say we're going to see a lot of AI avatars doing the content. Auto AI generated content, customized according to the person. You're scrolling the reel, and while you are scrolling, another one is already being generated for you that is customized to your own liking. And these AI generated content will be run by social media platforms themselves. This way, of course, they don't have to pay the content creators. The money that comes from advertising from these AI generated content will come to them, right? So a lot of AI generated content, but the only one that will stand out is the one that will still have human input. We're going to see new streaming services coming out with people making their own movies and their own TV series. Well, you can't call them TV series, but like series, web series. The whole production style or production pipeline, the way things are edited and done these days will become obsolete. I mean, you have seen the editing process is changing. When you used to edit a podcast, you see how much work was put into that. Now you just click a button, you determine the speakers, and it's going to edit the whole podcast for you. There are also AI models that can search inside the footage, like find the part in the footage, which is like 2-3 hour footage, where the person is saying this and that. Because you remember when you were shooting the footage or something like that, and it's going to find it. So, or let's take the example of InVideo, yeah, or other AI companies that are introducing video editors that use AI, where you tell it, okay, generate a video about this, and it will generate an entire video edited for you. And it's like a video with a lot of placeholders. You can just go and change things and tweak them. So the whole process is changing. The way content is produced, the way content is consumed. So yeah, the only question is, how are you going to make yourself stand out in all of that? You have to be creative.
And Sheref, do you have something to add to Hashem's answer?
So I think Yeah, we will come to a point where we cannot predict 100%, because this is a very disruptive technology. Actually, what Hashem said, all of this is possible, and I can foresee, and this is happening. It is happening faster than we are prepared to this kind of. It's almost a revolution. You cannot say it's the evolution. Previously when we had like software, digital software, this was more like an evolution. Right now, it is taking over. In an immense speed. There was something from Jeffrey Hinton just some days ago. I saw it, and he got the question if AI can, for example, replace creativity, or can maybe just mimicking creativity. And he was actually saying that it will be able to be as creative as we are, having all the context and the information that is fed into. So I think this will still take quite a time. I'm not sure. I don't think it will happen with the current.
No. I don't. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Yes.
That it will replace creativity entirely. No. Definitely not. Even if all AI models are programmed to produce content automatically, it's not going to be as something that a human put a lot of effort into.
And also it depends where the inspiration is coming from. It's to forget also the spiritual part of to be a human. We need to be more connected to the, I would say, divine inspiration to do content. What cool advice would you give to young creators who want to integrate AI into their work?
My advice to people who want to integrate AI into their work?
Yeah, young creators want to launch or do something.
Well, first of all, they need to keep experimenting with it until they come up with a workflow that they're happy with, that suits their own content. They need to use it as an augmentation, not as a replacement. It's a tool. It adds to your work. Doesn't replace you. You're using it to simplify things, to become more efficient and more productive, and to increase the production value of your content. Always make sure that there is a human touch to the content. Remember that this is very important, since you want to also maintain a consistent style that people will recognize you for. You have a brand identity, so keep it. Use it to learn the insights, such as which content is performing well, which is not, because you can take the insights and the analytics from social media, upload them to social media, and tell it to give you tips on what is performing best, so that you can also make more of such content. Follow a lot of social media channels that continue to post the latest from the world of AI, because as we said already, and as Sheriff said, a lot of models, they're always evolving, they're always coming out very quickly, it's hard to keep up. But there are a lot of amazing creators who are covering all of these innovations in real time as they happen. So yeah, you need to stay in touch with all of these. Maintain originality, and of course, try not to invade other people's IPs and copyrights, right? You have a tool that can help you create literally anything in your mind. And the first thing you go and do is basically take the idea or an IP of somebody else, like those who are doing the Stormtrooper trend from Star Wars. It's actually very interesting. But you probably heard that Disney sued Midjourney recently. Yeah, you don't want Disney to come after you for sure. Nobody wants that. So be creative. Make your own stuff. Make your own stories. And these are the main things.
Do you think that AI will democratize content creation, or on the contrary, will favorize professional creators?
Definitely, it's going to democratize it. Just take a look at the quality of productions that people are putting out there right now that are on par with some Hollywood productions. Now, they're not there yet with character consistency, but the shots, the style, the aesthetics, they look like they were shot by a multi-million-dollar budget. Yeah? These tools were not available to everybody, and now they're becoming available. And because people are now having the tools to express themselves and tell the world stories that they have been trapped in their heads for a long time, the stories that have been trapped, you're going to see a lot of junk, but you're also going to see a lot of creative and amazing work. Yeah? Because these tools are now becoming available to everybody, which is amazing. It's up to you what you want to watch and how to filter it. That's something everyone can control. Yeah.
And will the creator become more of a curator or conductor of AI rather than a pure creator?
What do you mean? I'm not sure I understood that one.
Do you think that people will be more like a way not to create in a human way, but more to be inspired but with AI rather than just, create from their own idea?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, right? That you have a tool that allows you to create literally anything. You just need to be creative with your content, whether it's a story, a film, or even educational or entertainment content. You just need to be creative on how you present it. And one of the ways to be creative, honestly, is to use AI itself to help you come up with new styles and new ways to present your content. So in the end, the tool is there. The tool will be available. It's just how people are going to use the tools. And as someone already pointed out, AI is a powerful tool in the hands of existing artists who know their craft. When you give the AI tools to a film director who has already directed movies before, and someone who is just making his way into this, of course the film director is going to produce some masterpiece, right? Because they know the framing, the angle, the story, the arc, the development, and how things work. They have prior experience. Or when you give it to a photographer, they know their craft and they can use it more properly. So it doesn't mean that the others will not be able to learn this. They can learn by practice, but it helps to have some basic idea about what you want to create.
And what's your opinion about that, Sharif?
Yeah, I totally agree on this. For example, imagine previously you had also like the professional photo cameras, right? If you have the budget, you can buy a professional photo camera for a couple of $10,000 or more. But if you don't know how to use it, and as Hashem already mentioned, so if you don't practice and you create a craft out of it and an undistinguishable style, where people say, okay, this looks like amazing, until coming to that point, it's basically not the equipment, it's basically you working with it and creating it until you have perfection.
Exactly.
Something people...
Everybody has a phone. It doesn't mean everybody can take good pictures.
And on the other hand, do you think that can AI help us explore new form of artistic or scientific expression that would never have been imagined before?
Definitely. It can mix styles, it can mix ideas, it can come up with new ideas. It really depends on how you use it for brainstorming. Because the first step before creating anything is brainstorming with AI. And if you know how to do that properly, you can come up with new things that would be dazzling and amazing, things that people have not seen before. Yeah. And I have tried myself, for example, to give it two styles. And I say, let's create a new style out of these two. Something that blends the best feature of each. And then we talk about the best feature of each style and say, let's take 1, 2, 3 from this one and 5, 7, 8 from that one. And you combine it and it creates a new amazing style that has not been seen before, which you can then take it a step further as part of your content, whether it's an image generation or video generation or a film.
Yes, I think as a scientific creator, how do you think that can help you visualize complex concepts or create more realistic simulation for the public?
Definitely. One of the things that I used to do a lot was licensing animations from stock footage libraries, and these animations were expensive. Yeah. Then I learned how to make animations myself using Cinema 4D, which would take a lot of time to make. A single 5-second shot can take 3 days to finish, because you have the modeling and the lighting and the rendering and a lot of stuff. It's not easy. And then sometimes you have to keep really rendering it until you get the desired result. And troubleshooting and all of that. Now, you just generate the image and you animate it with Kling or VO3. Okay. And you get the desired result in a few minutes. Isn't it amazing? And it can be tweaked to any style you want, to any angle you want. And you can generate infinite amounts of those at a fraction of the price. Because when we used to buy stock footage, imagine you buy stock footage piece for $50 sometimes, for example, if you are buying it from a high-end stock footage website. And then came the subscription in stock footage websites, which made it cheaper. But then everybody was using the same stock footage, right? And then the content becomes repetitive all over the internet. Like, I've seen this footage here, I've seen it here, I've seen it here. Now it becomes unique because you're using AI, you're creating your own unique footage. Yeah? So it's making it cheaper, it's making the content unique, and you get to create it in any style you want. Animation, realistic, animation, this, that. You are only limited by your imagination.
What do you think about that, Sheriff?
I see also AI like an unlimited inspiration source. So we humans have this anyhow. So we can go to nature and we may see like shapes and certain colors and also, getting inspired, and which might go into new products, new designs, and so on. We have this already. Our environment and nature gives us a lot of inspiration. With AI now, you're also imagining already something where you already also know the direction. Maybe it is not shaped like 100% in your mind. Then you can go back to AI, basically working on it and going into that specific direction, finding more inspirational sources, and now you envision it much better to that now goes to a new design, maybe new video. So therefore, I see it very beneficial. I think previously where we also had our time to produce something, and then afterwards we might be not really satisfied with it because of the time limits we had. We could not do it like as perfect and as we had it basically in our minds. Now with AI, actually we can produce something that comes closer what we have envisioned in a shorter period of time.
And yeah, I love what you added there, that you can have multiple iterations without having to go back to an entire team to fix everything, right? Which would be time consuming and costly. Now you don't have that. You don't need it. Yeah.
Do you think that AI can foster closer collaborations between creators from different fields, like artists, scientists, engineers?
Absolutely. And just like we talked about this earlier, right? We said there are, for example, some historically inaccurate videos, right? Imagine if you brought in a historian and said, hey, I want to make a video about how ancient Egyptians did this or that. And let's work on it together. And the historian is going to give you accurate details. And you, being with the prior knowledge in image generation and prompt optimization and video generation, you can make it come close to what the historian imagines it. So then you have his accurate videos. Same thing with science. Same thing with anything that needs to be accurate or fact-checked. People can work together all the time.
Yeah, there will be like a new synergy and with a different kind of result that we never saw before. What is your greatest hope regarding the impact of AI on creativity, and what is your greatest fear?
My greatest hope regarding AI and creativity? Well, I would say is that, people will use it in a manner that will not compromise their way of thinking. I mean, there was a recent study that people who over-rely on ChatGPT have, regions that are not as active as those who do not use it. So we need to use it in the very things that we want to be novel or new, in a way that doesn't compromise our mental capacity, right? That's very important. And also, my greatest fear is that everything will start to look the same. And as you have seen, I've told you already, someone sent me, said people are creating things that look exactly almost identical to what you are doing. Yeah, it's great to have inspiration, but you have a tool that can do anything. Why don't you make something new? Yeah, so I would hate to see that everything has become the same, right? It's very much like a plastic surgery done by the same doctor. Yeah. I wouldn't want that. Yeah, that would be my greatest fear in terms of creativity. Whether it's in music or video or writing, I prefer that there is a touch of individualism from each person who's using AI.
What about you, Sheriff?
So I was also thinking about, this is a very interesting question. For example, if you had one of your favorite music, sometimes the lyrics are so bad, but the music itself is so good that you thought, okay, it is, you cannot actually listen to it anymore. I think AI will help us to, and generally humanity also in our creative process, to make everything much better. Is it design? Is it music? You will not have compromise anymore. Maybe, previously when something was not done, or maybe it was really like time constraints, because you need to bring something out there in a specific period of time, because you also need to make some living out of it. Right now, you can iterate faster, you can produce faster. That comes to a level where you are, as an artist or creative person, really are satisfied with it, where you don't think.
Oh, yeah.
I had that also recently with on an interview from Metallica, where they were also saying that a lot of people have no idea the time pressure they had, and they had to produce also the songs in a specific period of time, and they wish they had a little bit more time on the album. And then I understood even more how important it is that you have now better tools where you can really say, I envision something, now it is exactly how I want it. If you don't put your hands into it, if you don't make the extra effort, if you don't find your style and you don't put your creativity there, you will not stand out from the masses who just produce something and it always looks the same. You cannot distinguish anymore. I think people who are talented, who have the creativity, they will always produce something that stands out and has the peak of quality where people say, okay, this is actually a masterpiece, which is ultimately coming from a human and has a human touch into it.
I agree. Yeah, that's a great breakdown.
And Hashem, how has the use of AI impacted your audience engagement?
I would say it enhanced the content quality. Before, I used to do these captioned videos with text and music. It's the old style. Then AI voiceover came out, and it's amazing now. So I integrated voiceover into the videos. People love to hear the voice in the video. Plus, they also have the text if they don't want to listen to the voice, or they're in an office and they just want to watch. The text is coming out and they want to watch on mute, that's fine. The engagement has been great. AI has made it possible to create images without having to buy a lot of images from stock image websites, or to create them from scratch using Photoshop. It's a prompt. Very straightforward. It enhanced the quality of both video image and video production, and the engagement has been great. Honestly, the engagement has been great. There is a lot of resistance, but honestly, I discovered that as time goes on, you filter that resistance. People who don't like it, they're free to unfollow. Doesn't bother me, to be honest. Yeah, if you unfollow because you don't like a certain change, I'm not going to stick to the same style forever when there is a new technology that can enhance my content creation process. Either you get used to it, because that's how everybody's going to do it now, which is an upgrade from what I was doing before, or, you can unfollow, honestly. So, yeah. Eventually, you're going to be left with the people who are happy with the way you are making the content, and the engagement will continue to go up. So I'm really happy with it and how it's going so far.
Yeah, interesting. How do you think AI will transform the way the public consumes and interacts with content in the future?
Yeah, as we said before, there's going to be a lot of content that would probably be 100% AI generated, custom made for you. Might be generated by the platforms themselves. As you scroll down, you're scrolling down, and AI video is already being made for you. And some people are not going to like it. Those who are not going to like it will have to abandon social media, probably go back to reading, which is great. Yeah, if they want to go back before social media, read books, do these things that are not AI generated, fine. Yeah, but as long as you use technology, as long as you have a phone in your hands, whatever you do or see will have AI integrated into it. There is no escape from that. The only way to escape it is if you remove digital life completely from your life, which we know in this age is impossible, right? We're used to our phones, we're used to digital life. So I think in the future, people are just going to be more accepting of it. And that video that I made, it has no soul, which got more negative feedback than positive feedback, as you showed me right now. If I post it in the future, It's going to have more positive feedback because more people will be accepting of the tech. They became accepting of digital photography. They became accepting of digital cinema, right? The fax doesn't exist anymore because we have phones now. We have emails. These things are always changing, and we need to get used to that.
Can I add something from the music industry? So if you look like 70s, where you had like the traditional way of music, you know, pop music, then rock music, metal, and so on. And when electronic music was coming, it was basically a niche. And it got a lot of hatred, you know. There were people at the time also saying, you know, it's not music, it's not real music. Real music is only with instruments. But they started accepting it when they saw that people are doing actually amazing work with it. So it is not like, even if you cannot play an instrument, but you can play electronic music, you know, maybe you just use a software to create your music. And over time, traditional musicians, they were also starting accepting electronic music. People just think it is so easy to create with AI, but once they have started working with it and saw the process and did something themselves, then they see the creativity doesn't go away.
Exactly.
Yeah, how much work it is
exactly.
Actually.
Right. I mean, if you give Sono AI or audio AI to a musician or a music composer who understands the notes and everything and the ins and out, they will generate a better piece than someone who just wrote a prompt. Definitely. There's no question about it. But I agree. That's how they will be more accepting of it in the future.
If I got a little story regarding your example you took, Sheriff, you know maybe the music group Daft Punk?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, when they went out, everybody hates them. So even one of the journalists, British journalists, I think, called them Daft Punk. So this where you know the name of the music group is coming, because people at the beginning hate that music, and after now look how it can become viral and mix even with hip hop, electronic.
Which is amazing that you mentioned, because if you saw, I watched some videos on YouTube how Daft Punk sampled existing music to create their pieces, right? And this is what musicians do a lot of time, sampling other soundtracks and other stuff in the same way AI basically is doing, yeah? When I ask AI to generate something, surely it's trained on data of existing music and existing content, and it's creating a new iteration based on another sample, yeah? But if you know how to tweak the prompt and get the desired result, you will make the best output.
Yes, it's very genius and understands the process of creativity, even that no one understands them, you know.
To make AI do the thing that you want to do in the way that you imagined it is power.
Do you think, Hashem, there will be also a time, as you can see, you know, you mentioned already, you can create music, you can create images and videos in a very polished way. Do you think there will be a time where people will get bored of it, that everything is like perfect, and maybe the next trend could be they look for imperfections, and where you can see the human touch? What do you think?
Honestly, I think it's okay to have imperfections sometimes. You know, I published that video about an alien spaceship visiting Earth and humans reacting to it. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
And in that video, there was one imperfect shot where the soldier is passing through the stone blocks. It's like there's a stone and it's passing through it, the barrier, okay, rather than jumping. So it's a poor physics.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only giveaway that this is AI. So you know what? I could generate another one where, you know, it's more accurate. Or I could just cut at the part in which he's crossing and then cut to another shot from a different place. But I said, you know what? That's fine. Let people who watch it still know that this is AI, or there are still limitations in the technology. You know, I don't mind that. Or recently, the monolith. There is a girl who is trying to sell a crystal, and she has 6 fingers created with VO3. Now, technically speaking, 6 fingers is possible, right? It's a genetic mutation. Now, what's difficult to digest is 8 or 10 fingers in one hand, which was the old models. 6 fingers, I said, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to keep it. even though there were other iterations and outputs where she had just 5 fingers. So, let's keep the 6 fingers. That's fine. Slight imperfections here and there. It doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me.
Mentioning this, I even did not realize it because, to be honest, I was focusing on the story because the story was actually really amazing. That I was not looking at these details.
For the keen eye, people are really observant, and there is a lot of people who are really observant. So yeah, some imperfections are fine to leave. And if AI becomes way too perfect, you can tweak the prompt to make it a little imperfect.
Actually, the imperfection is actually quite nice. I would also kept it because now we even talk about it. I even want to look at it again to that video.
Look at it again. You will see in the monolith.
Yeah, I want to see.
There is a girl who is presenting the crystal. She has 6 fingers in the hand that she's holding the crystal. And in the one with the alien visiting, the soldier passing through a stone barrier or the concrete barrier. These imperfections, sometimes I leave them there. But the sentence, I tried not to have imperfections there. Whatever the AI model, gave me, I would try to get the better result.
But come on, Hashem, even, in a traditional movie, when we went to movie theater, you realize there's so many mistakes.
Oh, definitely. Even big productions. Yes. I mean, you remember that? Do you remember that Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, season 8, exactly. Right? Or when sometimes in movies, when somebody didn't press recording of the audio, they go back to the studio and they try to have the actor do the AD, record the audio in studio. And then you can feel the difference. This is a studio. This was not recorded on site or on set. Or sometimes when they have to cut from one shot to another and there is inconsistency in the shot. Or like in American Sniper, instead of using a real baby, they used a doll baby. And you get a close-up shot of that doll, which looks like a doll. Is like, wait, you didn't have money to really bring in a baby through an agency. So a lot of imperfections in even big productions. So it's okay sometimes to leave some imperfections in AI content, honestly. Yeah.
And which maybe features, 1 or 2 features that you could really miss in the actual tool, AI tool, creativity tool on the market right now? That if you got a magic stick.
I'd say character consistency. If we can have character consistency and they speak with incredible human emotions, that's it. The game is changed forever, for eternity. You will be able to make movies, documentaries, this, that, anything. Character consistency, that's the biggest challenge right now. And we're only cracking it. Yeah.
I don't have additional question, but I was working on, we're constantly working on this generative AI tools. We have also create our own fine-tuned middle layer to basically help creative people to prompt easier because they're not prompt experts and you can even prompt with your own language. So what I was also working on is, for example, what Hashem right now mentioned, consistent image generation on a whole video that is maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes long. So what I saw is technically right now it's actually impossible to do. Because the problem is, imagine when you have a video and you gave basically a base image and you, basically the next scenes and then other scenes needs to be recreated. What happens there is you are relying at a certain point on a video piece on a low resolution. So I think when we have video generation, which is at least like 4K or higher resolutions, then it will be easier to have consistent quality across the whole video, plus the character consistency. Because right now, and this is also the reason why it's not working well on Google Video Free, if you have tried it, for example, you have one base video and you iterate, let's say 5, 6, and have a longer video, you see the quality is degrading. The reason is because the primary video is not high resolution enough, so the quality it can pick from that piece to have a continuous consistency on the following video pieces is also degrading over time. So if we achieve that point where we have higher resolutions in the videos itself, then with a very complex process, it will be able to produce longer videos with consistency across everything. But I'm not sure how fast we can come there. But I also think the cost will go quite up, when we are there. But it will also save a lot of time, of course. You can basically prompt the whole video.
I think the cost will go down. Initially, it will be up. Like VO3, when it was launched, you had the cost for one creation was 150 credits. Now the cost for one creation with VO3 is 100 credits for quality, because VO3 now is two types. You have quality and you have fast. Fast is, I think, 20 credits per generation, which is, it's like, I think, 1/3 of the quality of what you get with VO3 quality. Yeah? Because you have two models. And, even Kling AI, they started, when they release a new model, it's always expensive, and then they make it cheaper. They probably also add more servers so that the speed is enhanced. Rather than waiting for 15 minutes for one generation, you wait for 3 minutes to get the best physics. Kling AI now also has an image generator that can generate video generator that generates videos straight away into 1080p, which is scalable. You can upscale it to 4K if you want, with Topaz AI, with Crea AI. So I think a lot of platforms are working on that, which is you generate and you upscale. And then you can take a screenshot from the upscaled video, use flux context to generate a new angle or whatnot, and probably create the next shot. That's one way to do it. Yeah. The biggest problem is the lip sync. The lip sync right now, as great as it sounds, we have Heijin Avatar 4, which is cool, 4.1. There is also Dramina. But then when you look at VO3 lip sync, it's far superior than anything, definitely. So character consistency eventually will be solved. Upscaling will be solved. Honestly, everything will be solved at the rate things are going right now.
When do you think it could be solved? This year, next year?
You see, all these platforms, they're always dropping new models, right? But they keep the big things for the annual event, right? So the annual event for Google, when was that? Was it May? When it came?
Yeah.
VO3? Mm-hmm. Early May. I think we'll have to wait for the next May to see what they have been working on for the whole year. And I'm really excited to see what that's going to be. Unless one other company will come up with something groundbreaking and the other one will be like, you know what? Let's just release our beast before the annual event. So that's also a possibility. But look, they want to keep you hooked. They're not going to release everything at once, right? Step by step. And as Sheriff mentioned, some of the tools are being released prematurely, and many of them don't want to do that. They just want to release a fully refined version that will give you the best desired result. So I'd rather wait for them to really work on it more, and then we get what we want, yeah.
And regarding your personal project or professional project, what could be the main surprise or main thing you're working on next year or the coming month?
So I just came back from a short trip. I say I always have a lot of ideas for my short films, yeah? But I wanted some ideas that are really crazy and groundbreaking. So I went on a vacation, and I got a lot of inspiration for a lot of ideas. And now I have a big list of ideas for films that I want to make. I'm going to keep making them. Yeah, I just keep watching the channel, so you're going to see a lot of them coming soon. But once character consistency is solved, I'm going to make a full feature film, 1 hour and a half long, with character consistency and everything. So that's the goal, eventually. Yeah.
With which kind of maybe people or company you could be happy to team up? Or if you want to do collaboration or to do something amazing with other people?
I'm always open for collaborations, and testing models and trying new things and seeing what works best that I can add to my workflow. There's no specific name in mind, to be honest. Yeah, as long as there is synergy, there's shared interests, and there's a possibility of advancing this technology forward, I'm always up for these collaborations.
And Hashem, one other question. If people have to remind you, maybe in one sentence or one competencies, what you want to be reminded?
In general, in life, or just in the AI sector?
Doesn't matter.
That's tough. That's the toughest question I've ever received, to be honest.
Sorry, it's not
because it's very difficult to really come up with a single term that I would favor. Look, first of all, I'm trying to educate the world, through science and technology. But at the same time, I'm also trying to embrace new tools and technologies, for example, AI, and use it in storytelling and filmmaking in a way that other people aren't using it. First one is, I tackle misinformation by publishing science that is authentic and reliable from authentic sources. And second one, changing the way movies are made entirely. So through the science content, for example, a lot of people have sent me messages that they were confused about what careers they wanted to choose in their life. And by looking at my content, which is diverse, they managed to make up their mind about what they want to become. They had a different idea and now they changed their mind. And in AI film generation, for example, I read a comment recently where a guy wrote on my TikTok in the film, the sentence, it's one of the top comments. He wrote that I was critical of AI films, and here I am watching one. I was critical of people who were watching it. So in a way, his mind changed about AI filmmaking, that, this does have potential. So I'd say world changer, right? World changer, I think that would probably be, an ideal term. And speaking of world changer, I just attended an event called World Changer. And it was actually an amazing event. Say, I want to change the world in different ways, whether through embracing technology, giving people a chance to see the potential it has, or whether through communicating it and having people embrace the technology itself.
And to conclude, if you had to summarize your vision of the future of creativity in the age of AI in one sentence, what would it?
We should always remain authentic to our own style and identity. AI is a tool. We can use it to enhance our creativity, not replace it. That's definitely more than one sentence, but I think it delivers the message.
Okay, I think we went through most of the questions. After we still got a few time left, so we can maybe talk a little bit, or if you want to add something, we'll be okay. What do you think, Sharif? You think it's enough, no?
I first want to thank you, Hashem, for the incredible conversation. Your insights were very inspiring, and so I think it will also help others to try this new technology, to create something themselves and also find their own style. Also, they can inspire also other people with their work. Now, I think using all these new technologies in innovation, we can really change the world, to something more creative.
Absolutely. And to my understanding, you have your own tool, which helps creators, right?
Yes.
And I got a chance to look at it, and you walked me through a demo of how it works, and I was really impressed by all the amazing features that it offers. I think you should actually tell us about the tool a bit more.
But actually, Hashem, you inspire us a little bit since our last meeting. We changed a few things on your platform, especially regarding, I think, options on the AI models. So we had way more options because you miss these options a lot. So now we changed a little bit the interface, and we have been selected to HEC Station F program. So now I'm currently at HEC, Station F. Sorry for the light because I took a meeting room, but I think we're getting there. And now we will work also on something soon with blockchain, with probably some project regarding digital assets.
Oh.
So we are interviewing with many people who want some meeting to use for music, for image, and this kind of thing.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're always upgrading it and improving it and adding new models and enhancing the tools.
So the adding new models is actually not the main work. So what we want to do is we want to make it accessible for all the creative people. Also imagine, you work with a creative director or someone who maybe just started with the technology. They're not experts using this kind of technology. So what we want to have is that, so this is what we are building on our side, something that understands the context and also the materials you're providing and create something meaningful based on what you're giving AI, what it should do, and based on the materials it has already access to. So that, for example, you can create scenes that looks consistent, even you are not making effort that it should look the same on the whole video scene.
Yeah, if you can solve that, that's fantastic. You will be changing the game.
And we want to break, and we actually did that already. We broke it down to natural conversation. So as I have mentioned, you create something based on your thoughts. You're not prompting anymore. You use natural language to describe what you actually want. And then you can also use your own language, because you have maybe seen this already. Certain very capable foundation models, image or video generation, they're pretty much specialized on English language. But we are also dealing with creatives in France, also in Japan. And there are some language barriers there already. And our AI is then taking your thoughts you are putting into the AI, and then not just translating it, but also it's fine-tuned to this very specific models that you have the maximum output of the different models, because every model works a little bit differently. And therefore, from our side, it's a lot of testing. It's working very closely with the users, that at the end you feel like you have a platform that actually understands what you want to do. And this is the extra work we are doing on the platform.
Amazing. That's really good. You're taking it a step forward.
Yes, yeah? we need to take it a step forward. We need to make it accessible for more people who cannot deal with the complexity, and it's also very difficult, with the prompting, and nobody can be like prompting expert.
Yeah. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody is a prompt engineer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where you come in.
I was actually more tired, because it was a long day. But I enjoyed our conversation so much that I'm totally awake.
Still, you need to get some break, actually.
Yes.
What's the time now?
Yeah, almost 3 a.m.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. But this was a wonderful conversation, and the questions were amazing. I really enjoyed it.